Okay, I think that's our announcements for now. And now I am going to introduce you to Theresa. Theresa has demonstrated here before, and we had a workshop, I think, one time too. I'm on Facebook. I love having a lot of other artists. Theresa is one of the artists that I follow intensely, and am delighted by her work. She's a graduate of St. Peter's College, Jersey City, graduate studies, Accademia di Belle Arti in Florence, Italy, and exhibited at the Alan Stone Gallery in New York City and many other galleries in the area. Her artwork has been published by American Artist magazine. On the watercolor page, it was named one of the 20 emerging watercolors across the nation by Watercolor magazine in 2006. A former second vice president of the New Jersey Watercolor Society, she's exhibited at the National Arts Club, New York City, with Catherine Lorelei Wolf Arts Club, of which she is an elected member. She also has exhibited at the Transparent Watercolor Society at the Bloomington Arts Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. 56 of her watercolors have been published in a series of coffee table books titled To the Shore Once More, Volumes 1 and 2, and Long Beach Island Rhapsody, published by Jersey Shore Publications, Bay Head, New Jersey. An artist in residence with Bernard Lines, that's the Queen Mary, and is represented online by the New American Gallery in Princeton. So we're getting the class with her. We don't even have to pay for the cruise. Also, original artworks for sale at Tumblety. Disagree, you should read it first. Tumblety Howell Fine Art Gallery in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. And who just told me? Anne-Marie found out her sister has a whole collection of your work. Well, small world. Anyway. So that's where that is. We're very lucky and fortunate to have Theresa here today.
Thank you. Oh, can you hear me now?
Can you hear it back there?
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Well, it's more of a seeing thing anyway, right? You really don't want to hear me too much. Thank you so much for that great introduction. I hope I live up to this introduction. Today I'm going to do a picture of a painting of a scene in, should I pull it back this way? In Maine. But before I start this scene, I'm just going to talk for just 1 or 2 minutes. Just to show you how I mounted these. I have so many of these at home. Wait, should I go this way with it?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. These are black and white studies I do, or, or Payne's gray or sepia, just monochromatic studies. So I just get my head to think about value and contrast and shadows. And what it does, I think, is just organizes in my head where shadows and light are. So when I paint on my own, I'm a little better off. See, this is, obviously this is kind of like a marker, but it helps with the planning. But I don't do it each and every time. But if you want, I can pass it around if you want.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, there you go. And then, oh yeah. This is just a marker.
Let me put it up over here.
That way better? Yeah, this is a marker. These are renditions of 3 different types of lighting that I made up. The one in the middle is closest to the one I did on location in Maine, but I wanted to change the mood, so I kind of made up other kinds of lighting. And these were done with marker. So, see the different moods. Okay. And then these, okay. These are just color studies. This was done from my studio looking out the window. And this was an Ocean Grove scene. You can see my little palette, how I test my colors here. And there you go. Just to give an idea of how I work. And last picture show
I can see it.
is, that's okay? No, this way?
No,
That's good?
That's
All
good.
right, this is from my window again, looking out, obviously on a snowy day, and there's a lot you can do with a limited palette. So, okay, and then
Thank you, John.
here, it's a couple more that I promise I'll start to paint. This was done, right? Is he okay? This was done in Valley Cove in Maine.
Prehistoric, that's it.
Yeah. This is a print of a piece I did. It's much bigger, okay? And this was done in Valley Cove, and it's a very limited palette, but honestly, in Maine, it's a kind of a scary place anyway. I was by myself with crows.
And
It was like an opera theatrical set. And these I made up. That's good? You can see? Okay. These towards me? Yeah. These are kind of mini landscapes that I make up just to get it in my head, to practice. And so in other words, this is another scene from Maine that I just invented from memory. And here's another one very similar. That's done on 300
Beautiful
pound
colors
paper.
I'm wearing.
This is done on 140 pound paper, wet, and so it's a combination of styles. But I find that by working from your memory, I think it helps your imagination and it helps your interpretation. And if you want to know about how to develop your own style, I think that comes from, well, learning and studying your technique, but also doing things by heart and just practicing these sketches. I don't know, it feeds that imagination. And this is the last show and tell. This is just, I went on one of my walks, just picked up some pine cones, brought them home, sketched them. Yes, so, okay. Now I get to work. When I first started painting, I tried to set the tone to get a feeling of blazing, to get a little feeling of atmosphere. So, right? You really don't want to hear me too much. Thank you so much for that great introduction. I hope I live up to this introduction. Today I'm going to do a painting of a scene in, should I pull it back this way? In Maine. But before I start this scene, I'm just going to talk for just 1 or 2 minutes, just to show you how I mounted these. I have so many of these at home. Wait, should I go this way with it?
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, these are black and white studies I do, or Payne's gray or sepia, just monochromatic studies, so I just get my head to think about value and contrast and shadows, and what it does, I think, is just organizes in my head where shadows and light are. So when I paint on my own, I am a little better off. See, this is, obviously this is pen and, like a marker, but it helps with the planning. But I don't do it each and every time. But if you want, I can, pass it around if you want. Here. Yeah, there you go. And then, this is just a marker. Oh,
Let me
wait.
put it up over here.
That way better? Yeah, this is a marker. These are renditions of 3 different types of lighting that I made up. The one in the middle is closest to the one I did on location in Maine, but I wanted to change the mood, so I kind of made up other kinds of lighting. And these were done with marker. So, see the different moods. Okay. And then these, these are just color studies. This was done from my studio looking out the window. And this was an Ocean Grove scene, and you can see my little palette, how I test my colors here. And there you go. Just to give an idea of how I work. And last picture show is, that's okay? No? This way?
No.
That's good? All right. This is from my window again, looking out, obviously, on a snowy day, and there's a lot you can do with a limited palette. So, okay, and then here, it's a couple more, then I promise I'll start to paint. This was done, right? You see okay? This was done in Valley Cove in Maine. Yeah. This is a print of a piece I did. It's much bigger, okay? And this was done in Valley Cove, and it's a very limited palette, but honestly, in Maine, it's a kind of a scary place in a way. I was by myself with crows.
And
It was like an opera theatrical set. And these I made up. This good? You can see? Okay. These towards me? Yeah. These are kind of mini landscapes that I make up just to get it in my head, you know, the practice. And so in other words, this is another scene from Maine that I just invented from memory. And here's another one very similar. That's done on 300. Yeah, that's done on 300-pound paper. This is done on 140-pound paper, wet and wet, and so it's a combination of styles. But I find that by working from your memory, I think it helps your imagination and it helps your interpretation. And if you want to know about how to develop your own style, I think that comes from, well, learning and studying the technique, but also doing things by heart or just practicing these sketches. I don't know, it feeds that imagination. And this is the last show and tell. This is just, I went on one of my walks, just picked up some pine cones, brought them home, sketched them. Yes, so, okay, now I get to work. When I first started painting, I tried to set the tone to get a feeling of glazing, to get a little feeling of atmosphere. So what I do is I take, it's too yellow here, use a little bit yellow ochre. Can you see the colors okay? Yes. All right, I'm going to make a warm middle tone here.
What brand do you use?
I use Winsor & Newton. Artists, it's all good. Some of the colors have changed. I don't know whether they changed manufacturers, but they used to have a good new Gamboge. Not anymore. Okay, so what I do is I take this yellow ochre in the center here, just to give a warm feeling. Thinking, why am I doing this? Well, because the white is so nice, but it gives a glow. And then what I'm going to do is start to get this to come down a little bit more with wide strokes over. This is on hot press paper, believe it or not.
Wow. Hot press?
Yeah, it's okay. And it's all good. What I do is I just let that sit. The nice thing about working with a big brush like this is it frees you up. And then I'm going to do a little on the top here.
When you use hot press, you don't pre-soak or anything?
No, I don't. I don't know. I should start all that too.
Excuse me, is this hot press paper?
Yes, it is. Okay. This is 300-pound hot press.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So that gives you just a starting point for the top and the bottom being blue and a little gold in the middle, but when this dries, it'll be lighter. So I let that sit and sit here. Okay. Now I have to ask you, can you see okay?
Yes.
All right, let me know. All right, so when that's dry, I have like a glow starting. So I've taken away the cold white of the paper, and I get a mood starting. Now this more or less, this piece I'm doing here is more or less like a mood piece. And in a mood piece, it's simpler because I think if you put too many things in a mood piece, it takes away from the mood because you're looking at too many things. It's not, for me anyway. So I'm gonna start with the background here. What I'm gonna do in the background, I wanna get a glow to this. So I'm gonna start with the yellow. I like to do the yellow thing here. And this is New Gamboge here.
And that's all dry now,
What?
the paper and the...
Oh yes, I should mention that. Yes, of course.
So it doesn't turn green.
It kind of will, because over here it won't be bright yellow, but it'll be yellowish. Because even in here it's like a little bit more yellow ochre. But why I have them dry is because you get that nice crisp edge. So the colors I'm using are New Gamboge and Areolin, and they get enough on this great big brush that now I love to pieces. This is an Old Faithful brush. We'll see how faithful it really is. So I'm going to start Old Faithful, Cheap Joe's.
Oh.
So I love it because you can keep on going with this. So I start my trees. And sometimes to get a little mist going, I'll just add some water in here. It doesn't have to be solid. See, one thing about working with brush like this, it makes you looser. See, and I just leave the water sit there. This. Now here, there will be a bird. So I'm going to try to save that white. Try not to do the, oh, you know. Isn't that, when you put the misket, the masking fluid here, yeah. So in other words, I want a group of trees in the back here, make it as clear as possible. You can make a thin line. If it doesn't appeal to you, you can always get one of these and make a thinner line. Still use the rigger. On down, here. And it's good for speed. See, one of the nice things about watercolor is that it's fresh, lively, and all those good things. Here. So this sets the tone. Do this as quickly as possible. There. 500 trees later. See, one nice thing, you want to get a feeling that you're carving with this brush. So you right crisp lines right across here, here, here. Fast. Now you're not restricted just to that color.
Can you speak a little louder?
Oh, sure. Should I move this over? How's that? Is that better? No. No? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No. All right. Now you can always do something else if you want to. Hold on. A little daring. You can always add another color in. Why not? Let it go wet and wet. Play with it a little bit. Because every time you paint this, I've painted this so many times, this picture. Every time I paint it, it's different. All right, so while that's drying, here, clean my brush off. Actually, this water should be cleaner, but it's too late now. So what I'm going to do is the next thing I'm going to start with getting the background. This is pretty much traditional watercolor, light to dark, background to foreground. Okay, so using a little bit of the blue in the back here is a little bit, I keep testing my colors too to see. I'm going to make a shape with this over here. Like that. I turn my brush on the side. Bring it this way down. Melt that line out. Hopefully it's going to melt out. Okay. Then that just gets down, comes down this way, and fades out. So that gives the distant feeling. Every time I look at this picture, I think about when I was there. This is Cutler, Maine. And can you hear me okay?
No.
No? This is Cutler, Maine. And I was getting on a boat to go see the puffins on the giant sea island. And we all got on the boat, and I saw the puffin fly by, and I said, that'll be the last one we see. And right after that, the boat broke down.
Both broke down.
Yeah, And then we had to be towed by the Coast Guard. So happy
Do you bring a
memories.
camera with you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I have the pictures of all the mad faces on the boat. Boy, were they mad! Everyone, big fancy cameras. Forget it. Okay, so now I'm getting a little undertone. I'm trying to use that paint. See, meanwhile, I have to think about. I'm trying to avoid blow drying sessions. So this, I have to see how things are drying before I go back in here, because this is glazing. Now, coming down in here, I'll give some little notes. Can you see it? Move it over. That's better. How about if I go this way? No?
I'll see if I can move the camera on the opposite side
Is
here.
that good?
Yeah, just
Okay, keep going. Okay. All right, so now what we have is the beginning of an undertone. The undertone will give the glow that watercolor is so famous for, you know. So now, the next thing I want to do is start under here for the reflection. Now the reflection, everyone's terrified of reflections. Oh, just make them simple. I think that's the best way.
Is that better?
Yes.
Better? Okay. So I mix up enough ahead. I got one of these little, this is actually from ShopRite, this.
Oh.
This is a portable, like, you know, like when you go on a picnic and you bring it with you. If you could put your paints in here. Yeah, cupcakes. Don't ever have cupcakes in my house. So anyway, so coming on down here, I get a little puddle, although I still use my little paper palette here. Get enough to work with, not these little tiny sad puddles. And I think what I'll do is mix a little Payne's Gray in there. Whoa, it's very strong. Just mute that down here. All right, so now I'm going to come down in here and start the reflection. And I'm using a flat brush, and this is a 3/4 cotton flat brush here. It's very good because it has a nice chiseled edge, and it's inexpensive, which is nice to know. So you just go back and forth this way, zigzaggy, like that. Go in, like that, and then you can change brushes and bring it over. You don't want that hard line to show. All right, so I'm starting in that way, and a little bit of the red. This is cadmium scarlet. I'm gonna get some of that red in here. Ooh, that's strong. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. It's a little pinky, so I'm gonna get a little bit more going in there. All right. Here. Nice and liquidy. See, if you have enough water to work with you, it's more merciful to you. This is why learning, it's very purpley, but we'll go back in later. This is why it's good to know to use bigger brushes. You can work with that. So down in here, move it up a little. You can, and when you have water, you can, it's kinder to you. You can change things more easily while it's wet. All right, down in here, here, here. All right. Now if that edge, you want that edge to show a little bit more, you just drop in some color on the edge like that, see? And it stands out a little bit more. Okay, tip, tip. So this, and okay. And as it comes down, it's going to get a little more action. Here. You don't want it to be all the same. Let your brush dance on it. Okay. To step into the unknown sometimes. Now, Working a little bit up in here, I'm going to get some more of the pilings detail here. Oh, a little too wet. That could be a bird. Now.
Taking up a little bit, so.
Towards this one, yeah.
How's that, better? Sorry. Okay, now I'm going to put the local color. The local color is the color of an object, and that would be the red on this fishing house here. So use a little bit of that cadmium scarlet. This might be kind of bright. I'm wondering if eventually I could change my water.
You want me to? This one?
Lenny, yeah, could you do that for me? It's right there, it's like outside. Thanks.
I have a sink. Can I fill this with water?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. All right. Now for control in a small area like this, see, this is the key. What's happening now is to clean color. Is you don't want to paint with this, although I will. I constantly change the water at home, and all the plants have like yellow and green. They love it. So now I'm using a flat brush. With a flat brush, you can carve. See, like this. You get nice, beautiful control. And here. All the while you want to feel like you're carving. I try to think of when I'm painting that my strokes are, I try to keep them to a minimum. Just take your flat, drop it down right on it. And then why stay with one color? And you could use something else.
Do the other.
Thank you, dear.
I'm gonna do the other.
Oh, okay.
Do the other.
You're so nice. Thank you so much. I'm just going to put a little extra color in here for fun. It's not in the original, but I feel like doing it because every time I'm working with something, I try to feel that I'm combining the colors somehow in anything new. Like maybe I'll put some blue in the red, a little bit of red in the blue, things like that, just to tie it together a little bit more. Okay, a little more happening with the shadow now. Any questions, just ask.
Was the trip to see the puffins, was that a tour?
Yes, it was. It was a boat, and we were so excited. Everyone, their big camera, very serious cameras, and that's a fiasco.
And you saw one.
Well, it was, yeah, well, that ended that. Yes, I still have the photos. Okay, still not dry, so I work around it. See, after a while, your palette just gets this soup on it, you know? Who knows what that color is? start to carve out these little things here.
You didn't put any mask?
What was that?
You didn't put any masking on there?
No. Hold on. Well, hold on a second. If I think I have my
Theresa, for your round brush, what size is that and what kind of?
Oh, this is a 38. Yeah, right here.
Is it just?
Well, we had a dribble. Hold on a minute. Now here comes the dribble. Right, thank you, Linda. What to do? Well, say some prayers. And there you go. Okay, so now, come down in here, we have,
Is that just a watercolor or is it also acrylic? Brush, the brush.
oh, it's just watercolor.
It's a watercolor brush?
It's a watercolor brush, and I love it. You practice with it, you could do your trees. The thing is, you know, to get the facility to do trees, that takes practice. One of my friends, a great artist, she used to do illustrations for Neiman Marcus. Hated trees. She wouldn't do them. Would not do them. Now see, I get a big puddle. Do I like that puddle? Maybe I don't. I take a brush and I soak it up.
What company is that big brush?
Cheap Joe's. Cheap Joe.
I can see a brush on that brush.
What was that?
A brush on ordering that brush.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's great. It's great, it's great. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'll have to work around it. I'm trying not to do a blow drying session. At home, what I do is I just go around, clean the house, and come back. Right, so here, using a flat brush in here. Get the other things going.
So that section is dry now.
Yeah, it's drier.
Yeah, see, it's
Yep. All these dribbles, my goodness. Let's start putting new people in there. Well, what does one do? You have to then invent other things. Okay, so now coming in here. To bring my brush around this way. Okay, come in a little bit underneath. I'm gonna start to carve this underneath part here. All right. And while that's wet, you can play around with it a little bit, have a little fun, drop other colors in here. Now, speed rocks here. It's a little defined, so I have to go a little slower here. I mean, there are hundreds of things on this stock, but you don't, I mean, how much do you really want to show? Do you really need to show everything? All right, here. So, okay. All right. Now, you can see the shine is lifting off, but I might have to blow this dry. I'm sorry, folks. I've been waiting, but 1 minute. What should I entertain you with? Nothing. Okay. All right, 1 minute. Say now, gives you a chance to chat. It's okay. All right. Yep, intermission. You can use the ladies' room. Anyway, just gonna put a local color on this now. This is a light Payne's gray. All the local colors. Here, 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 here. Once again, I can't stress the importance of not too much manipulation of the paint. You don't want to keep going back and forth. One good shot. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of a different green here, and this will be cerulean blue and a little bit of new gamboge. It makes a very nice green. It's a little bit more like this. Now, the bluer you make it, the further distance it is. So, let's see. Starting here on the left. Let's get some trees in here. See, I want the center of interest to be here, so I don't want that to be too important. So my edges will be a little, they'll be, the contrast will be there, but not as great as here. A little wet and wet. I better put that bird in now before I cover him up. I'm up here. It's a terrible bird. I'm going to take another one. Let's see. See, you're pushing along, like, it's sort of like when you're working, you feel like the paint, you're chasing the paint. It's like a feeling that it's like you better get it done quick. Like, you lose the spontaneity if you sit around too much. It's a little bit of blue. See? Can be exciting sometimes. It doesn't have to be, oh, that's so lovely. That's really a good day. Hold on a minute. See, it's nice about the yellow edges that you can see the sun behind it. That's the beauty of this paper. It really is, it's such beautiful blend of color while it's wet. Oh, it's just, you know, you really get into the zone with it.
Kind of sits on top compared to the other, doesn't it?
What was that?
The paint seems to sit on top for a while compared to the cold press.
Oh, it does. Well, no, this is hot. This is cold
That's
press.
what Oh, I thought it was hot press.
It was the first one was hot press. Yeah. I'm making you confused. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, because, well, what it does with the
I went
with
out
hot,
to get the water and I missed it.
that's okay, you missed it, yeah, that's the end of it. That, don't hesitate, is lost. But see, while it's wet, you can come up with endless color combinations, and this is where a little creativity comes in. You know, you're not, nobody's saying, it's not set in stone that you have to, you can't paint blue trees, why not? Could be a little blue-ish. It's really the value. That's the most important thing. And that's what makes watercolor exciting. It has a luminosity to it. See, it's like stained glass. Okay, so while that is drying, I'm going to put a little shadow on this side of the house here. Now, if it runs a little bit into that background, it doesn't matter. See, a little bit. Now, while that's wet, you can throw a little red in there. Okay, now this has to be very dry before I get that crisp shadow there. So, I'm going to mix a little bit of, can you hear me okay? Yeah, sure. Can't see it?
There you can see.
Oh, should I move this whole thing down? How's that?
If you can. while
Is
you're-
that better? Tell me.
No, because then we can't see the bottom of your painting.
But it's nice to see what's in the house.
How's that, better? Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of cool red. And, okay, some blue. It's too purpley, so get a little bit. Okay, coming in here, get the shadow. Now this can also, you can also put a little blue into that while it's wet, see? Makes it pop. Actually, I'm gonna go a little lower here. Get a little bit of local color. While that's wet, just put some red in. Make it come alive. And then here, behind, do you ever get creatures on your palette that you notice that look like monsters? And I do. Cast shadow. A lot can be done with just suggestion. It doesn't have to be spelled out everything. Because really what it is, you're looking at the beautiful colors and the blends. It has a poetry. Okay. Yeah. Coming down here. There's a long-suffering fisherman waiting, standing there. Where are you? Here's his friend. Now when you're doing the little pilings, you just do the S's. Like that. Now you don't have to paint each and every window. We all know that, God forbid. And here, getting this little ladder going down. It starts to take a little shape. I don't think enough is said about brush skills, but they're very important. It's like worth it just to practice how you use the brush. There are 500 million things here, so I'm not going to show them all. Coming down in here for the reflections down. Oh, let's see. Start to come down a little bit this way into what you did before. Sometimes I wet it first and I just let it sit in there. So you get that nice glassy reflective look. Might be too, see the value is a little bit too much there, so I'm going to do this, wash it out. Because the highest contrast is where you'll look first, which is here. The most detail and the highest contrast is where you look first. So if you put too much over here, you're going to look over there. So now, switching brushes to a bigger one.
Can't see.
Do you want to step over?
That's good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the ultramarine blue. Oh. Hello. But sometimes these are nice things. You know, like, oh my, uh-oh. But then you can always pick it up and take it out. If it's like too much, you can just borrow it and put it somewhere else. But all in all, when you're working on something like this, it has a rhythm to it. You know when it's going well and when it isn't well. It's only a sheet of paper. So, it's not the end of the world. See, the softer edge will not draw the eye as much as the hard edge will, but you still can get a glassy look. This is a smaller round for more details. 1, 2, 3. See that? It's going to make you look over there. So, yeah. So this is your basic concept. There's a whole lot more you can do with it. I mean, you can put the little fine points in, which I would bore you to pieces if I started doing that. Like this, you could put more texture in last. Now, I'm going to try to do something, and hopefully it'll work. 1 second. If you have something like this and you can't get it out,
tissue?
Actually, I thought I brought my Mr. Clean eraser. Okay, that's okay. Let's hope this works. We shall see. Let's say, oh gosh, what did I do there? I don't like that. I usually don't like to correct on my paintings at all, but I'll show you what you can do. Let's hope this works now after saying that, but you mask out the area with painter's tape. Press it down. Say some prayers. Let's see if I get this. Mr. Clean. Hello. Take a little Mr. Clean. See, it's not only for your sink. And then you take this out. You can erase it. And best not to pick up the tape. So it's dry. Some of it's gone. Let's take it all out a little bit. Mr. Clean is not doing his job today. Come on, Mr. Clean. Let's do this. It's coming out. Yeah, there it goes. It's gone. Okay, so more detail in this. I would have to wait for it to dry to get more crisp detail, but that's basically it. Does anyone have any questions? It's a concept. Thank you very much. It could go darker, but you know, you'll fall asleep by the time I get to the next stage, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.